Good morning. My very dear students. In fact, last time also when I came here, I told the students, lend me your youth and lend me the brightness of your eyes that I love to look at. So I come back again seeking those. You haven't given me that. My humblest greetings to the professors, to the mentors, to the proponents of this university, the college, which I feel is a pride not just of Eastern India, not just of India, but of the globe right now. My humblest greetings to all the honorable members of the industry, members of on the dais, and my sincerest gratitude to the organizers for giving me a chance to come back here. Tinged a little bit with a dose of confusion, because I never know why I get chosen by Professor Dasgupta for topics which I have no clue about. Having said so, I can fully understand Professor Dasgupta's dilemma, because if he goes by that criteria of my wisdom on any topic, he really doesn't have much choice left. In fact, on a Saturday morning, maybe it may not be a bad idea before we embark on a topic of some serious depth to also make it a little light and a little funny. And going by the story of my ignorance on the subject, yesterday or day before yesterday when I was actually mentioning, or I have a junior colleague in my office who is a voracious reader. I remember he bought by his entire savings of his salary a set of encyclopedia, and he got married, and then one day I found him selling. So I asked him, why are you selling the encyclopedia? You cherish so much. He said, sir, my wife knows everything, I don't need it. Yesterday, this junior colleague of mine, when he asked me, why are you going to Bhubaneswar? I said, I have a speech to be given. He said, on what topic this time? I said, this is the topic. He said, sir, you are meeting my wife. Now, but honestly speaking, this time really to prove to you that I know the subject, honestly, I really made a lot of research on this topic. I browsed the various contents in the internet. I made a lot of synthesis of the various discourses being made on this subject. I tried to understand the nuances in this entire philosophy, how it can guide the Indian corporates. I really tried my best, and I prepared a speech for you. You may not believe it. As I was sitting in my flight today, just trying to understand or go through my deliberations of the speech which I prepared so laboriously over the last few days or weeks, I just torn it up. I just torn it out sitting in the flight. You know why I torn it out? I felt that for 15 minutes the speech that I prepared, I can really appeal to your head. I can really dazzle it with all the contents which I have inherited from the various books and all these things. But that's not true me. That's an artificial package for 15 minutes that I will be producing in front of you, just being decked over the last few weeks. But that's not true me. So I can appeal to your head, but I will never be able to connect with you. I will never be able to connect with you psychologically. Leave aside no psychological connection. Leave aside the psychological contracting, which I was expecting from you to have me back every year. So therefore I thought it may be a much better idea to place the true self in front of you, my own thoughts, my own views, even not my experiences which could be insignificant in this matter, but what as a layman, as an individual or as a human being I think about this topic, my point of view. As I started to muse on this point, on this topic, psychological contract, a competitive advantage, I thought, firstly, the psychological contracting is something. Psychological contracting and competitive advantage is an oxymoron, is a complete oxymoron. Why I say so? I'm not sure whether this philosophy I will be able to establish with not so strong language power of mine and in 15 minutes, but I will try. In our social life, in our public life, in our private life, in our professional life, in our student life, we come across thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And more we grow, at my age, possibly I have seen or interacted with maybe 20,000, 30,000 people as my employees, as my employers, in whichever capacity I may be in. And all these human beings that have come up or come against you are all varying in their natures, in their characters, in everything. Bold, mild, wild, timid, egoist, opinionated, no point of view, no opinion, provincial, communist, sexist, racist, all varieties of people, kind, not so kind, egoist. And even amongst them also, their likes, their dislikes also keep on varying over time, over their exposure. Person I like today, person I start hating tomorrow. Concepts I like today, concepts I start hating tomorrow. The communist today, a completely anti-communist tomorrow. It happens over the time. So how do I really try to get myself into a psychological contraction with such varying people who themselves also do not know what they are actually trying to have, what kind of people are there, what kind of likes or dislikes or tastes they may be having 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line. So I felt in my attempt to really make a psychological contract being made between me and the people that I am interacting with, the first person who will suffer is me. Because I will be actually producing an artificial me who will be only trying to chase people to get into a psychological contract with them. And therefore, I will try to make myself more amenable to that situation, to that people, to that person, and the person who will be suffering most is me. And therefore I thought that the only person with whom I can have a psychological contract, the only one person with whom I can have a psychological contract is none else than me. So I signed the contract with me on what terms? What's the term of the contract with which I signed the contract? The terms of the contract is 3 things. It may sound cliche, but I will explain that to you. The terms of the contract, 3 things. Unadulterated honesty, unadulterated sincerity to my objective, and the third one is difficult, complete dispassion about myself. Complete dispassion about myself and my materialistic aspirations or goals or targets or objectives. Call it what? I'm 51 years old, I've seen lives much more than you. And from that conviction I'm saying, if the first 2 conditions are met, your dispassion to your own materialistic thing will not cost you anything. You call it principles of fair justice governing the world, you call it cosmic justice, you saw it any kind of justice that you cannot see. That will surely benefit you if you follow the first 2 terms of the contract. If you, or if we, really start thinking that we are honest to our objectives, and which sometimes happens, not just with the young people, but with us also. We feel we are extremely honest and we are working hard, we are sincere as to our objectives, to our everything, but we still feel we are deprived. Others are getting much. Their employers or my own employer favoring them or whatever it may be. A sense of deprivation, a feeling that I'm suffering, I'm honest, I'm doing very well. I'll give you an example. It's very difficult to understand which one am I doing honestly and which one am I not doing honestly. Just a story. Couple of years back I just wanted, it would be good to have some story just to convert or to give a reflection of the philosophy into the day-to-day life. Couple of years back when I was trying to organize an event, a very large event of an intellectual topic, a very difficult intellectual topic at a global scale from one of the consulting organizations that I have worked with. It was a very big event and I really had a strong aspiration of really making that big event extremely big and good. So I chose 2 of my best people to drive that event. And I told them that you are the leaders, you drive it. You organize it, you do everything what you need to do. They work very hard, 12 hours, 14 hours, and I could see that from my office, that in the morning, 8 o'clock, they're running around the country, city, inviting delegates, going to the people, talking to the press, working out brochures, and all those kind of things they were doing very hard. But at the end, the event didn't really turn up to our expectations. It went very poorly. The two young guys came to my room, they were crying. We spent everything. You tell us work hard, work honestly, don't think about the results. We did that. You saw us working for 12, 14 hours a day. So what did we do wrong? I said, it is our assessment of that honesty. You feel you did honestly, you didn't. You actually chose, and it was my mistake also that I didn't guide you. You chose the shortcut to the success because you chose the physical labor path. You wanted to be more visible. You just wanted to go around, talk to people, drive hard, the coordination part and all those things. But the difficult part of that event, you never actually tucked yourself into the room for 3 hours or 4 hours a day and started really to think what the contents of this seminar should be. Because you felt that will not give you the visibility. You felt that this will be getting you much, much more importance because you will be inviting all the CEOs going and talking to the press, but at the end, the event suffered because there was no content. So there was a wrong assessment. You felt we are honest to our objective, but that was a wrong assessment of our actual honesty. So it's a difficult thing. But there was a tinge of selfishness in that. The selfishness was physical tiring. The physical activity is always much easier and it gives much more visibility than the mental one. The mental one is much more taxing. There I had a chance of being exposed. I may not be able to produce content. The physical one is visible. I have a lesser chance of being a failure. So I worked hard, but there was a touch of selfishness. I didn't work honestly. So it's difficult to really understand whether I'm working honestly and working true to the objective. If I do that, the third one which I mentioned, the success will come. Don't chase money. If you do not chase money, money will chase you. If you chase money, same like women, they will never come to you. And when I say the competitive advantage part linked to that is an oxymoron, why do I say so? I have seen enough of competitions. Enough of competitions among the countries, among the nations, among the corporates, among the people, among the man, vying for the most beautiful woman in the world. Enough competitions. Products, consulting companies. Greed. Coming out of that greed, that I want to be the best. Amongst the students, beating. I was a fierce competitor in my life, even maybe 5 years back. These were my favorite lines. Beat the market. Beat the hell out of competition. Blast the market. People used to clap. My boss used to like me. That here comes a fierce competing person. Extremely successful he would be in my organization. But there was a tremendous amount of greed. There was a tremendous amount of selfishness. I want to beat him. More am I maturing in age, not maybe in intellect or experience. More I'm maturing in age. In fact, I was being asked in one of my interviews with some external people, whom do you compete? Big Four? Big Three? You being one of that? I said no. Oh, you don't compete with them. Whom do you compete? The biggest SIs? I said no. Oh, then there will be some boutique upcoming consulting companies coming up. You fear them? You compete with them? I said no. Then what the hell? Who do you compete with? I said I compete with me, with my dishonesty. That's the only thing I fear. If I tend to compete with my competitors, then by hook and crook I will try to win. And that makes me more fearful, that I may be tending to become dishonest, and therefore in 100 sales that I make, 50 I may win, 50 I may lose. But if I only compete with my dishonesty, and if I can win over that, 100 out of 100 cases I will win. And I will give you an example. There was one of the biggest projects which we never thought we will be able to win. We wanted to get into that. It's one of the largest conglomerates of India. We had no chance in hell to get that job because we had nothing, no credentials, no background, but we still thought I should get it. I spoke with 4 people who would like to get the opportunity of the sales from me. I called 3 of them. Why do you want to win this job? Somebody said, I just want to beat them. He named 4 or 5 others, top shot strategy companies. I want to beat them. The second one, why do you want to win this? He said, I want to win this because this will be the biggest project that this firm has ever done. The third one, why do you want to win this? He said, if I win this job, then this company will get a huge credentials in that sector, which we do not have, and that will help us for future. I asked the fourth one, why do you want to win this? He said, if I win this, I can do a project which will really help that client of ours, which will really help that client to reduce or prosper far more. I gave the fourth one the chance to lead. My boss told me, he's a lousy sales guy. He has no competitive zeal in him. I took the risk. I bet my job or whatever it may be on him. We have beaten all the people in the consulting that you can think of. We got the job. I went to the chairman and I asked him, he's a big name, the chairman, big name. Why did you give us this job? I had nothing, no credentials, no background, no testimonials, nothing. He said, I knew you had nothing, but this is the guy, the junior guy, who was continuously just trying to see what would help me, and continuously coming to me and saying, no sir, this would help you, but I don't have it. Sir, I have a weakness here, this would help you, this will bring your benefit, but I cannot produce this, I have not done this, but I can see this. He was continuously trying not to maximize his chances of getting, but to maximize my chances of success. I psychologically connected with him. I psychologically constructed him. I embraced that guy, and really tears started flowing from my eyes, because I thought, at least this is one person in my late age I have been able to really teach the psychological contracting with the customer, the principles of how to sell. There was nothing that really could make him very competitive. I have now started disliking this word competition. Just be truth to the work, just be truthful to the work that you want to do. Just be truthful to that, and the whole world will fall at your feet. You really do not have to get into a competitive and therefore psychological contracting. And when you are actually trying to have that kind of an approach to the whole thing, your psychological contracting to the honesty, to the sincerity transcends beyond everything, beyond employees to beyond everything. I'll give you an example and my last story of one of my colleagues on employee side. I worked for a big firm, 10,000 people, 15,000 people. One day what happened? I just got to see at a small boutique firm, very close to my office. They opened a shop. And they started to coach my people, and my HR person started coming to me and saying, we have lost these guys to them. We have lost these guys to them. Every day, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys. I said, what's happening? We are the best in the market, the best in the country. We are the biggest brand. We do not even have a brand, and they are taking all my talents out. Of course, not in so much number, but yes, they are taking. How is it that possible? No, sir, they are giving this, they are giving that, and they are giving lesser salary. So what is happening? So one day I actually buzzed into their office. I met the owner, the promoter of the company. What are you doing which I am unable to do by working in such a large firm which can just buy you out tomorrow? He said, I give good projects to the people. I said, so do I, and I give better projects to you people. What kind of projects are you giving? I'm giving them international projects, this project, that project. What are you giving? He said, I give good trainings to my people. I said, what rubbish training will you give? I spend so much of dollars every year on a training of my people. I second them, I send them to Brussels, to New York, to this, to that, for the training. What training will you be giving? He said, I give them good cover when they make any mistakes. I said, I give them better cover when they I hardly understood all the management philosophies of HR and everything today. I hardly in our office, we pamper everybody, we hardly scold them, we never raise our voice, we always protect them. I said, so what kind of cover will you give them? So then he said, the last thing which I do, I use the choicest Bengali words if they ever make a mistake. The Bengali guys. They call me Dada, they call me boss, they call me Bhaiya, they call me Guru, but I give them, I just beat the hell out of them if they make any mistakes. We said, no, I can't do that. Because I follow some of the doctrines of the HR philosophy. I say counseling, I do mentoring, I form a committee, I sit with them, I hum and haw, I do not actually use choicest words because I am very worried about all the counseling, mentoring, I make it very, very implicit. I imply, but I do not do it. He said, that may be then the difference. You know? What appeals to that people is no psychological contact. This gentleman is a true person. He represents his own self truly to the people, whereas me, an artificial person, with a painted smile on my face because I have actually been driven through these HR contracts and all these things. I cannot raise my voice. I cannot use those choicest words. They call him Dada, they call me Sir. They crack jokes about him behind him. They never crack jokes about me behind me. They go with them to the cinema hall. They do everything. They pull his legs. They never pull my leg. I have a psychological contract. He has a psychological contract because he is honest to him, he is honest to his people. There is no artificialness in it. But in this materialistic world, where we are all fighting for assets, be the talent, be a customer, be money, we are all fighting for assets, it is extremely difficult, I know, this philosophy of this to be actually reflected in this materialistic world. And I hope you wouldn't mind if I just share the last two things, which one of you all may be knowing, two stories or anecdotes. I come from Ramakrishna Mission, so it appeals to me more, but it's a very common story, nothing new, but many of you who may not be knowing, the younger people, that when, seniors here must be knowing that when Swami Vivekananda, who had nothing to do with religion at his young age, nothing to do with he went suddenly being a complete disbeliever of Ramakrishna, that he said he's a crook and a cheat, and he went to meet him. So when Ramakrishna Dev told him that go inside the temple and pray whatever you want to the goddess Kali. He said, I need wealth, I need money. He said, go ask for it, you will get it. He went in, he came out, Ramakrishna Dev asked him, what did you ask for? You asked for money, wealth, everything? He said, I couldn't. I asked for, it will be difficult for me to translate in English. In Bengali first I will say and then I will give you the English. He said, I asked for more bodh, more understanding, more sensitivity. He said, bullshit, go back. Ask for money, fame. He went back. He came out. Did you ask for it? He said, no. I asked for more intelligence, more sensitivity, buddhi. Third time, he said, please go back. I'm telling you, if you ask for those wealth and everything, Mother will bless you and you will get it. Go ask for material success, make yourself famous, rich. He will give it. He came out. He asked, what did you ask? He said, I asked for more chetona. So I know in this materialistic world it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult that how do I really make the measurement of this honest work and work but not so honest. But at the end, to make it conclude with a lighter note, if everything that I said appeals to the heart and not appeals to the head. If you read P.G. Woodhouse, there is a character called Bart Euston. A short guy was once telling Barty, When my head says so, my heart says something different. But he looked at him and told him, is there a huge gap between your head and heart? Because the guy was short. In fact, after my speech, you can also ask me the same thing, that sir, for you, you do not have a problem. There is not much of a gap between your head and heart, but heart.
I generally like to walk around and speak, so I've asked him for a hand at mic, but I'm going to start off here and not keep you waiting. I'm here not because I'm an HR professional. Actually, I've never held an HR professional, profession. I've never worked in that field, but I think I have done, on the receiving side of HR, understood the domain enough. I have been working with a lot of young people. I had thousands of people working for me, and I've been talking to them about what does it take to succeed. I had young people who were slightly older than you, maybe 20-somethings, and
good morning. That's it. Respected dignitaries on the stage, invited guests, the speakers from the industry, and the largest takeaway people of today's conference, that is my young friends, the students. Delighted to be here this morning for many reasons that I am. I came in yesterday. It was about a month ago that I met Sumit and some of your directors in Mumbai, and we were talking about working with KIIT, me coming and helping KIIT. So came last afternoon as a guest, and in next 3 hours, I decided to become host. Because what I saw in that 3 hours is something that I never saw. Out of 3 hours, I think I spent 1.5 hours with KISS, the institution that the man created. And I think therefore, if nothing else, for the gentleman called as the founder of KIIT, Achyut Samant, let's hear from him. It is something that I personally feel all of you who are here and see him in flesh and blood every day will count in your lives as you walk ahead in future as the best thing that ever happened to you in your life. Have met, seen, worked with some of the greatest in the world. Have read, got influenced by many thinkers. But one person who is entirely genuine, humble, and true human being is your founder. And therefore, I have dual role here. One is I'm now in future going to work with the management team here in terms of industry interface and running some of the conferences. So you might see more of me. But what touched me therefore in between yesterday and today is something that uniquely sets this institution different than the rest, is this ability to give to the society. And therefore, if, particularly for my industry friend, if you want to give back to society, nothing better than come and do some work here. and we are planning in that direction. Importantly, most of the time, specifically for students, I generally want to tell you something that I have seen in the times that have gone by. The generation that you are now part of, you should be counting yourself as singularly lucky people. And why do I say that? I think Ambarish talked about that. He said, give me your smile, give me your spark. Something that has happened now, which entirely did not happen, and therefore I lost it out, is you are born in the generation which is born with abundance as mindset. And I was born as a scarcity mindset. Example, even if my father was well-to-do, we still had to stand in a queue for ration to get sugar, which was 500 grams per family member. We still had to wait for rock oil or whatever you call it as the fuel that you had to get, which would come to you once a week. When the cooking gas came, you had a booking time of 7 days. Forget having telephone at home, there would be one in the locality. With this mindset, when I went to work, I continued to carry that mindset to work. And therefore, instead of becoming a manager of aspirations of people who work with me, I became controller. Enabler versus controller. The generation born now, and specifically after 92, when we adopted market economy as a governance model in the country, is born with abundance model, with a mindset. Because when you were born, everything around you was available in abundance. You walked into the mall and you found thousands of brands present. You opened the refrigerator at home as a child and you had everything stacked inside. So on and so forth. So when you come to work, you come with abundance as mindset. Now what are the characteristics of abundance as a mindset? Abundant people feel there is enough in the world for everybody. There is one large cake, but it is there for everybody available. There is a gratitude. Abundant people want discussions and not instructions. Scarcity-minded people think that there is not enough for the world, let me grab and take a piece of cake for me. Example, walk into the wedding ceremony and moment the dinner get announced, look at the people of my vintage, and I have example of that. When I go with my daughter, it always happens. Moment the dinner is announced, me and my wife would say, come, let's eat fast. And the rationale given by us is, in Mumbai you have to travel a lot, there will be traffic jam. It is not that. And my daughter says, wait, Dad, there is enough, I'll take it later. Cool, let's cool. Are two of the, these are the mindset, but look at the brighter side of the mindset that you're born with. She gives me a shirt and I wait for Diwali to open it. I give her a dress. Before batting an eyelid, she's into her room, changed and says, how is it looking? I said, looking fabulous. give me 1,000 rupees, I want to go and celebrate with my friends. And if my dad ever give me 100 rupees, which he never, seldom rather, I would save it for rainy days. Now these two mindsets are going to the industry today. And hence, the superimposition of mindset is not happening. There is a manager who grew in the large manufacturing background organizations. Before 2000, we had everything which is manufacturing, engineering, oil and gas and what have you, till the service sector came in. This manager, with some of his background, and he's also gone into service sector. And you have young 20, 21 year MBA or non-MBA working under this person. Now obviously this mindset is not falling in place. And what's happening resultant? We call it attrition. Attrition most of the time is not outcome of the result that we list in HR exit interviews. Attrition is breaking of psychological contract that happens in the organization day in and day out. And therefore, we try to track the element by looking at certain symptoms, but never go deep inside where the origination of that disease began. And hence, I submitted to you that organizations in future, organizations of today, will have to look at something that has worked in the past, throw away that. And why I'm saying that? Because I think in HR we cherish with one particular flavor that we carried throughout our career, which is called as policies. My personal belief is policies are meant for 1% people who break it, and for 99% people who never even look at it or break it. Then why create policies? We tried doing that in some organizations that I work. The first question is, oh, if people ask for something else instead of this particular hotel, 3-star versus 5-star and so on and so forth, what will happen? Nothing happened. The HR expense perhaps came down instead of going up. So time has come to think completely differently and out of the box. One of the organizations that I worked, we used to track this so-called exit interviews. And we still found that, typically what happens in the exit interview is you have a set of questions, and those are administered to employee 2 or 3 days before he's leaving. Because that is also a KRA of the HR executive who's supposed to track that. 2 or 3 days before the employee is leaving, his mindset is, let me get out of this company as peacefully as possible. And therefore typical answers, 40% leave for better prospects. Next 20% leave for family reasons. And balance 20 or 30% will leave for relocating to different place or their native place and so on and so forth. It is crap. Because the day this man or a lady decided to leave was not today. It was 6 months back when he found that the psychological contract that he had in the organization is not the way that he imagined the contract to be. 6 months back, he tracked that. That's when he said, I'll look for opportunities outside. He attempted outside, he got the job, then he comes back, then he resigns, and you track on the suppose 60 days notice, on 58th day, why did he leave? And we make presentation to the board saying that we must now revise the compensation because 40% people are leaving for better compensation. It doesn't happen because you revise the compensation and you continue to have the same issues that you continue to have. I suggested to the board, instead of tracking why people are leaving, why don't you look at people who are staying back and continue to invent stay back interviews. Ask those people who are staying back with your company, saying that why are you staying back, what is that we are doing well, and try and replicate that more. Hopefully with that, 2% people will stay more, and the next year 5% will stay more. So I'm saying the paradigm needs to be changed in today's context, and hence psychological contract that we are going to deliberate today is going to be, or is today, a very important facet of work life. I think for the students I have only 2 or 3 suggestions that I can make. First of all, there's enough for you in the world and you'll find your place. This is a market economy. And as I said, go to world with abundance as mindset. People who respect themselves, value themselves, world respect themselves and values themselves with them. And therefore, if you respect and value yourself, will somebody else come and then respect you and value you? Make yourself so competent. You know, in the management school specifically, learning is not about concept, it is about application. And when concept gets discussed, and we are going to discuss a lot of concepts during the day, you need to think after applying what happens. It's about human transactions in the organization. It's about people transactions in the organization. And it's, you know, that's something that one must learn as one passes out from the schools, business schools like this. Hence, I think we have a great day that we have planned for you. After this, we have a very, very important panel. We have then in the afternoon experts who are discussing different facets of the psychological contract, the way that gets applied in the organization. We are going to talk about employer-employee relationship, talk about leadership, we are going to talk about relationships, so on and so forth. So I think in the changing world that one is seeing today, and the paradigms those are changing today, concept of psychological contract is going to be extremely, extremely central to all of us at work life, at home life, or whatever. And therefore it is equally applicable for men and women. And you know something that, just on the lighter side, they say there are 2 types of men in the world. Either they are happy and the rest are married. So, and hence I think the day is going to be interesting. I really look forward to each one of you contributing in the sessions. Please ask questions to the audience, the panelists that will talk to you about various facets of psychological contract, and get engaged into the discussions as if you are business managers. Understand the application of the concept and not the concept themselves. And therefore, I look forward to a very meaningful day through the day today. I look forward to interacting with you more often in future. And thank you very much for being here this morning. Thank you.